Good news, I've decided to cast today's game entirely in haiku. Just kidding, I've always been more of an iambic pentameter guy. Whoa, that is an early pylon. Like 9-10 seconds early. Look how far back that depot making SCV is. Goblin is up to something. Apparently the spirit of Cheesedelphia is alive and well. Yeah, look how early this gate is. And there's like weird gaps in his probe making. Protoss isn't usually behind the Terran on workers in the early game. So, strange things going down on the map of Romanticide. Even a slightly weird position on that Rax. And a simulator for Protoss, a refinery for Terran, and a second assimilator for Protoss. It looks like Goblin is gonna be teching hard. I'm crossing my fingers for a mothership rush. Now other people may prefer the Orc or the Minotaur, but for me, I like the Goblin! But with the anticipation of a cheese building, I've got a feeling this game won't just be fantastic, it'll be epic! Epic is an American player playing for Storm Gaming. Goblin is a young Croatian player currently playing for Team Roddy. Let the record show that Team Roddy is uber cool. And let the record also show that we now have a proxy pylon. It's hiding in the Terran high ground 4th base. Epic's looking to expand, blissfully unaware of what awaits him. But he has had the foresight to send a scouting SCV. He's gonna find a total lack of expansion. And that should take him to high alert. He's gonna see Goblin's Cybercore complete. How will he react to the lack of the expansion? Oh, he's gonna build his CC above ground instead. And he sent a second SCV to sniff it out. He finds the proxy, which is a Stargate. Solid piece of detective work by our Terran player. He actually started building that reactor before his expansion. It's already done, so he'll be able to get Marines out 2 at a time, which should help him here. Because I'm guessing that Stargate's gonna be making void rays. Notice though that back home Goblin is making an adept, and he's working on warp gate research. Whatever he's got planned, it's got multi-prongs to it. Epic's recalling his scout home, and he is going to add a bunker. Let's see where he puts that. That's an interesting position. It's gonna give his Marines an extra spot to retreat to, but presumably the void ray, which is being made in the Stargate, is just gonna go right around it. Speaking of going right around, the adept completely ignores that SCV. Somebody was on move command. Goblin has his priorities, one of which will be a chrono-boosted void ray. Oh, and another is going to be an offensive pylon. He is working on warp gate research, though maybe he's just looking to put down some shield batteries for his void ray. So that adept can't get in, and truth be told, probably doesn't want inside. Epic's at 6 Marines and going to 8. The void ray is out, and Goblin is making another one behind it. Void rays have a range of 6, Marines have a range of 5. There's an angle there if Goblin can find it. Epic's not gonna let him, he just charges. And he shuts down Goblin's first effort to make a shield battery. Goblin doubles down, but Epic's gonna come again. He gets the adept. That was super close, but Goblin got the first blood. He dropped a Marine before the adept went down. Oh, and the pulled SCVs take down another adept, with a little help from the Marines. Goblin's rotating in a fresh void ray. Epic's finished his factory and he's trying to get a cyclone out to help. His Marine count has been seriously depleted, but he is getting the cleanup on the proxies in his natural. Goblin's still making shield batteries, but this time he's putting it next to his proxy. Can Epic reach the proxies through the mineral wall? Oh, the cyclone can. A third void ray is almost out for Goblin. That's gonna be big. Epic's making more cyclones. They're cheaper than the void rays, and thanks to his mules, Epic is outmining Goblin. Epic's made use of his extra orbital command, though now he wants to convert it into a properly saturated base. Goblin hasn't missed a beat though. He started building a Nexus at his natural, and he's been able to do that without delaying production on void ray number 4. Epic doing better in the resources lost column, but he still can't be too happy with his predicament. He's wisely making a bunker in front of his natural, and he's also finishing up a starport. A Viking would be a huge deal. They can kite void rays. But if that's his plan, he's going to be way behind. There are 4 void rays out on the map now. And interestingly, Goblin's now making a Phoenix. Oh yeah, the void rays are just going to go around all the bunkers. Back at the Protoss ranch, there is a Twilight Council underway. Oh, it's not a Viking, it's a single medevac under production. Epic's forced to pull his SCVs. Are 2 Cyclones enough to deal with 4 Void Rays? I guess they are when they bring 8 Marines with them. Goblin's Nexus completes, and as soon as that happens, he takes the income lead, even though it's barely saturated, and Epic's up on workers. That's the power you have when you force your opponent to do a worker pull. Oh, nice snipe on a bunker there. The medevac is out, and it can start healing the bio, or picking them up. Epic trying to change the pace of this game. He's going for a drop of some kind. Epic's a little tired of taking hits. He's looking to give some back. Epic is currently ranked number 85 in the world. Goblin number 52. Oh, Goblin turns on the prismatic alignment. That ability gives him bonus damage against armored targets, which the Cyclone is. The conventional wisdom is that Void Rays are good against Terran mech, not so much against the bio. Right now, Goblin's making it work against everything. Though the real MVP might be that shield battery. Here's Epic looking for revenge. He tries to boost into the main. The Phoenix is guarding the flank though. It goes to work on the medevac. It cannot do enough damage to prevent the drop. The Marines will get into the base. Epic forces the probe pull. Stalkers are coming to clean up the Marines. Oh, and the Void Rays recalled back to the natural nexus. Oh, did I imply that Void Rays weren't good against bio? Death by Blue Nose. Before they died, the Marines may have picked up that Goblin's researching blink. Oh nice, the shield battery recharges the Void Rays as they set out back on the offense. Epic started +1 attack in his eBay. No sign of stim yet though. The big news for our Terran player is he's working on a 3rd base. He's not alone in that. Goblin's just put down a 3rd of his own. I'm liking this game. Our players seem very evenly matched. Which is kind of cool because our players have actually never faced each other in a professional match before. Oh, the Void Ray count is now 5. The income advantage belongs to Epic, but he has to survive to use it. Goblin started up a robo. He might be done building Void Rays, but he's not done using them. He goes at that SCV. He gets the refinery even with that missile turret on him. There's that robo in production, and you can see Blink is just about done. Epic's finished a pair of tech labs. He's going to start stim now. It's also going to let him make Marauders. That's good foresight. Marauders not so good against Void Rays, but they're very useful against Stalkers. But mostly Epic continues to power, adding additional barracks. Goblin's feeling more in the mood for tech. He's added a robo support bay. Colossus and or Disruptors are going to give him the splash he needs to help deal with that bio. A Protoss death ball without splash is like a day without sunshine. Which is kind of like every day on the West Coast right now. I'm a little bit worried for Epic here. He's defending well, but he's really trapped in his base. Other than his 1 drop attempt, he's really been forced to turtle. And as long as Goblin has that forward position, he can just expand at will. Or tech, which is really what he's doing. He's also bringing up Stalkers for additional pressure, but I don't see these doing too much. Sure, they can blink, but there's tanks out there. And Marauders and Cyclones. Is Goblin gonna throw these Stalkers away? Oh, he's showing off his blink rotation micro. That was pretty sweet. That was micro intensive. Still, Epic shoves him aside and gets ready to plant his 3rd. He's playing catch up. Goblin's 3rd has been saturated a while. Oh, more upgrades starting up here. Colossus range and combat shields. I am so digging that Stalker micro. They're completely ineffective, but they look good doing it. And didn't G.I. Joe teach us looking sexy's half the battle? I may not have that exactly right. There's some good catharsis for Epic. He finally gets rid of that proxy. And as a bonus, he did get to supply block Goblin for about 2 nanoseconds. Goblin had largely abandoned that proxy quite some time ago. Oh, he just sniped both of Epic's Vikings. I'm not sure Epic realizes how important that is. He's about to come up against Colossi, and he hasn't been making any other Vikings. He does have supporting tanks, so he's not completely up the creek. But the Vikings would have given this push a lot more options. Goblin's adding shield batteries to protect his natural. Epic siege is up, but he's pretty far back. I think that means the shield batteries get to complete. The tanks are rolling forward. Goblin's gonna try to poke before they can siege. He's too late. The tanks bludgeon him back. 4 tanks, that can make for a pretty good siege. Especially if he's going to leapfrog number 4 closer. If he can actually get a position over the Protoss base, I'd like this a lot more. The Marauders are going to try to poke in. He's going to discover there's Colossi in his death ball. And the range upgrade is about to finish. And the Void Rays are still here. Epic's going to stim up the ramp to deal with them. Guardian Shield is active. This is an ugly, bloody stalemate. Goblin can't face the tanks. Epic can't face the shield batteries. Epic has the better army, but Goblin has the tech. Epic tries to remake his Vikings, but they are a long ways away. Goblin sets off battery overcharge, and as usual, it is such a difference maker. Epic has killed 2 of those Void Rays, which must be very satisfying, but his forces have been demolished. Both sides have, but Epic has taken the worst of it. Both sides tied on workers, both sides with 3 bases. The Vikings arrive, but there's just been a huge warp-in of 8 Stalkers. Goblin knows right what to do. He kills those Vikings immediately. Also the tanks. He cleans up all the core pieces to Epic's army. And with that decisive engagement, the game is flipped and Protoss now has the larger force. Epic is shrewdly making a 4th command center. Oh, no, Goblin's expanding too. These 2 players are just economic equals. They've been largely getting paid the same salary all game long. Oh, a warp prism for Goblin. We know he can do nasty things with those. He's also started +2 attack. Epic's just about finished +1 armor. Look at that, those are identical economies. Is Goblin pushing out or is he looking to secure his 4th? I ask my silent co-caster. I'm so rude to the guy, he never gets a word in edgewise. Co-casting with Zugzwang, worst job ever. Epic has his battle duck and he's making Archons. As a show of confidence, he's breaking down his rocks. Epic is guarding his ramp, but if he ever wants to take a 4th, he's gonna have to come down from there. Oh, he totally heard me. Unfortunately, he's giving up his high ground at a terrible time. The pressure to expand has breached Epic's defenses. This is what Goblin I have splash damage you don't really wanted to see. 4 Colossi doing their thing. Epic really needs to get that warp prism. He really doesn't want the prism to start doing its thing. Which it kinda now is. Goblin's got 8 work gates and the money to power them. Epic's once again trying to remake his Vikings. Also Marauders. Marauders are good against just about everything in Goblin's army. My concern, though, is that by the time they get here, I don't know if Epic's gonna have an army. Goblin is just doing so much damage. Here comes the flank. The reinforcement Marauders are killing the Colossi, but his GG is not enough. Goblin is the winner. That was a cool game. It had a nice beat. I could dance to it. You don't normally get to see Void Rays playing such a significant role in TVP. Ever since they got patched, Void Rays have been giving Zerg fits, leading to all kinds of crazy Zerg response tactics, including the German taxi and queen walking and Nidus worms. But generally, Terran's got the anti-air to deal with this. Gasless Marines are cost-effective, missile turrets zone them out, and we saw what Cyclones could do. The Void Ray is still just too fragile. Only 250 shields and armor. To put that in perspective, the glass-made Warp Prism has 180. But as Protoss is figuring out, once I put shield batteries down in front of your base, anything is good. I'm still waiting for Protoss to put down the offensive Nexus so they can use battery overcharge. Has, but always SOS, one of these guys is going to be doing it. But let me give credit to Goblin. Depopulating your opponent's Vikings is a pretty good way to keep on top of a game when you're making a bunch of Colossus. It's a best of 3 though. Epic now has a chance to tie it up or be eliminated. Adjutant, if you would please.
The game begins now.
Get your shiny blue crystals now 50% off. But we have a very strict return policy here. You mine it, you buy it. Epic got proxied pretty hard in game 1. He survived it, but the follow-up did him in. Looks like Goblin's got a normal pylon timing this game. He's going for the Reaper block position. Last game, Epic didn't actually make a Reaper. It's interesting how that opening Reaper is becoming less and less common now. It's no longer mandatory. I think it's a function that Protoss and Zerg are just getting so comfortable with dealing with it. But it's still a really good scout. There's our opening gateway for Protoss and the racks for Terran. Once again, we see how Epic has that extra space in his wall. He makes room for that add-on. Intro time! English literature has brought us this style of lengthy poem, the most famous of which is Beowulf. It is the Epic! Now, many of you thought that the villain in Beowulf, Grendel, was a troll or a swamp giant, but the truth is, he was actually an oversized goblin! Our young viewers are all gonna fail their Introduction to English Literature course, and it's all my fault. But as long as they still make copious amounts of time for Starcraft, it'll all work out. Goblin going Nexus before Core. He has no burgeoning wall at his natural, so he's pretty exposed. Epic's also saving up to expand here. He is gonna go Reaper first. No, he cancels it and adds a reactor instead. There's no scout on the map. He had no information that led to that. He was just being finicky. Goblin has his core out. There goes the command center. I'm gonna guess that Epic just suddenly remembered he had left a hole in his wall for that reactor, and he had forgotten for a nanosecond. Sometimes your fingers are on autopilot, which can be a good thing. You want to free up your thoughts from those menial tasks so you can focus on big picture. What's my opponent likely to do and how will I beat it? The very best macrobots are unconscious macrobots. The core completes and we'll get our first look inside Goblin's head. What are his hopes and dreams? They appear to include a chrono-boosted stalker and a Stargate. I'm sure Warp Gates is coming, but it does seem to be delayed. Epic going for a second racks before factory. That's how you show a commitment to bio. Early reactor, early second racks. And he's got something else up his sleeve because there's an SCV gliding to the north end of his main. Oh, he's got minerals. He's going for an early third, I think. You've heard of the above ground pool. This is the above ground command center. Though he'll later float it over to that triangular third position. Did you know that the original command center has a little antenna that actually disappears once it finishes? It just retracts. These are useless details that I didn't appreciate till I started watching these games in 4K. There's Epic's first mule drop, and Warpgate research has started. And the Stargate has warped in, and it's building a Phoenix, which is rallied right down to Epic's base, right to his main. And what's kind of neat about that is if Goblin plays his cards right, it's gonna look like a hallucinated Phoenix. Like it's been cast from a sentry instead of an actual attacking unit. There's Epic's eBay for his future +1, and he's also building a tech lab. Yes, he has started his stim now. Epic wants a classic stim timing push. Once his stim is done or about to be done, he wants to march forward with an unusual number of Marines. See if he can catch his opponent by surprise. And that will probably not be possible because Goblin's about to get an excellent scout with this Phoenix. He sees the double racks, the stim upgrade, and even the third command center. I'm not even 100% sure that Epic realized that was a real Phoenix. Goblin built a second Phoenix, but he's paused production at his Stargate. He's getting himself a Twilight Council. Scratch that, he has started a third Phoenix, and it's rallied to join the other two. He's looking to build them up. For his part, Epic's looking to delay the Protoss third. If Epic can get himself an earlier third, that could give him an economic boost throughout this game. Oh, he's going to try an eBay block, but the Stalkers and Adept are right there. He's not going to get a huge delay for his investment. That SCV kill was a first blood, by the way, but I'm betting that spinny thing I'm going to put in there later probably already told you that. Okay, this continual Phoenix buildup is starting to get pretty significant. Goblin's going to want to get some value out of them. They're pretty good against Terran mech, but there's no real sign of mech out of Epic yet. He has finished a factory and he's starting a starport. Okay, here comes a flyby attempt. He's actually got an opening here. There's no defense around. He can get some SCVs at the natural. He's going to grab some isolated Marines as well. One takes some armor damage, but all three Phoenix get away. And then there's the attention damage too. Epic wants to get out of his base, but now he's got to be worried about what happens when he does so. Protoss starts that powerful Zealot leg upgrade. Terran combat shields. Goblin's going to try again, this time with 4 Phoenix. This time the Marines are guarding both mineral lines. Goblin does not find an opening, and discretion is the better part of valor there. Meanwhile, he's adding more Phoenix. It almost feels like Goblin's gone for a double Stargate build. But really, it's just a single gate. That third Nexus is about to complete. Oh, there's a nice pickup. Goblin snipes 2 SCVs and gets away. And he forced out a stim. He's doing a great job of keeping his Phoenix alive here. He's actually up 7 workers now. Though one of the reasons why Epic's a little bit behind on workers is he's been powering pretty hard. He's just ordered 3 new barracks. Okay, Epic is starting to show some value for those Phoenix. Who cares if there's no mech? Goblin can just kill everything. Oh, and he's forced out another stim. That means Epic's push is going to be that much weaker. He's either going to show up with injured Marines, or his medevacs are going to have to expend all their energy before the battle even starts. Epic sends out a squad to try to zone out the Phoenix, but Goblin just goes right at them. He kills them all. And then he gets away again. I'm starting to see a theme here. At this point, Epic knows he's got to get his push on. The question is, what does Goblin have to defend? Epic drops a scan to get an answer. He's going to see that Goblin's trying to build shield batteries. The Phoenix try to delay the push so the batteries can complete. Epic's push is just looking a little bit feeble though. I really think he meant to come with a lot more Marines. If there's no tanks to support it, at this minute mark you need a lot of Marines. Goblin tries to snipe a medevac, but Epic does ward him off. There's almost a Phoenix available for every 2 Marines. In theory, they're supposed to be terrified of a stim Marine pack, but they're really not. Goblin's gonna finish his robotic support bay. Epic's trying to mix in a lot more Marauders. That's really gonna help him against those Stalkers. And they'll fare somewhat better against the Colossi too. Goblin picks up another pair of reinforcing Marines and an SCV for dessert. Yes, you have to have a balanced diet, but sometimes you can splurge. Maybe on special occasions, like a best of 3 on Cheesedelphia. Ah, I see Epic is going for that known Protoss strategy, where Toss builds a bunch of stuff. Yes, it's a bunch of stuff in the production tab, including a forge and a couple of gates. I realize I'm getting highly technical here. Oh! Goblin snags a Widow Mine that was specifically built to deal with the Phoenix. This is not good for Epic. He's actually only killed a single Phoenix so far this entire game. That's the only unit he's killed. And now he's completely stuck on defense. I do like the addition of Widow Mines to try to zone out the Phoenix. You just have to kind of put aside the fact that they've been completely useless so far. But maybe the threat of them will be enough to let Epic finally get something done here. Goblin's Phoenix count is so high he just doesn't care about the Marines anymore. And although he does have a Colossus transition in the works, he's still building Phoenix, and he's getting +1 attack. Oh, more Widow Mine pickups! How is he doing that? And then he gets an SCV, and then a medevac, and the Phoenix take off with no losses. Epic has no choice but to start building missile turrets. He's going to try to strike out across the field. This time he's going to bring Widow Mines. Ideally that can ward off the Phoenix, or maybe neutralize the charge lots. He does have a nice flock of medevacs. He can heal that army up. Goblin's going to try and intercept before those Widow Mines can bury you. He's too late. The Widow Mines chip away at the Zealots, but there's so many of them. And now the Phoenix have arrived with the Widow Mines on cooldown. Battery overcharge goes off. The Phoenix get all of their shields back, and now it's lift heaven. Only a single Phoenix has been killed. But at least Terran can say a lot of Zealots have died. A second Colossus arrives, and Terran knows he's outstayed his welcome. Though a pair of Widow Mines have been left behind. I don't think anybody's noticed, and they're going to come off cooldown. Nope, Goblin knows he's donating Zealots. Oh, and a third one's going to be used as the world's cruelest form of detection. Dudes, when I said my life for ire, I didn't literally mean I'd be used as a minesweeper. That is a cold, cold calculating way to treat your units. Oh, look who's still making Phoenix. Though the real story is that Goblin now has his 4th up and running, ready to be saturated. Epic has just started his 4th command center. He's also adding 3 more barracks and an additional starport. He knows he's got to get his army volume up if he's going to survive the next few minutes. I gotta say, Goblin's use of the Phoenix this game has really been outstanding. There's where that 4th is supposed to go, and there's where it's actually building. Oh, an undetected observer reveals the Widow Mines, and the Colossi predictably take them out. No dead Zealots required. What a disruptive technological innovation. Actually, all kidding aside, Goblin's observers are playing a pretty important role here. He just got advance warning on the attack on the 4th and got a huge warp in. And the Phoenix got the Widow Mines before they could bury. I think I made some idiotic comment early on how Goblin has to find value for his Phoenix. Can we pretend that didn't happen? Okay, so right now Goblin is just carving them up on all sides of the map. Epic is hoping his double starports with Vikings is going to help him get out of this. Failing that, he's also transitioning to Ghosts, starting up the enhanced shockwave upgrade. EMPs have been known to turn a TVP around, but he'll need something huge like that, because the Protoss army is about 30% larger. And with upgraded Colossi, it's at least equal in tech, even though Epic has the numeric upgrade advantage right now. Goblin's picking up Blink and a Dark Shrine. And for the first time in what feels like a long time, he's actually not building a Phoenix. There's that Dark Shrine, and he's building a Warp Prism to go with it. And Goblin's simultaneously making a Disruptor and an Immortal, just because he can. I'm sorry, but this series is kinda over. What remains to be seen is whether Goblin can close it out in an amusing way. Epic is gonna saturate his 4th, which is helpfully turning into a Fortress. And we'll just overlook that Goblin's already started his 5th. It does look a little bit vulnerable though. Epic might have an opportunity to shut that down. Protoss is kind of out of position here. There's the upgrade for Warp Prism speed. Gravitic Drive. It's possible that Goblin might have heard my request for an amusing finish. Epic's gonna destroy his own rocks. It's always important to pick a battle you can actually win. Goblin has maxed out. He's building a bank. If he doesn't look to trade, I guess it's possible that Epic could get back into this. A reversal of fortune would be pretty cool. But that observer has outed the Terran army again. Goblin moves to cut Epic off before he can get to his 5th. And the threat of the Disruptor forces the Terran to scatter. Oh, Epic has a very good concave here. He stims everything, dodges the Disruptor blast. But you can't really dodge Colossi. That Disruptor shot hit. And the Vikings have been eliminated. There's no longer a threat to the Colossi. And the Warp Prism is going after the main. More specifically, 11 Zealots going at his production. Epic's doing a good job with his trades here, but unfortunately, this is just a distraction. Once the warp gates cool off, there's going to be a wave 2 to this. Goblin has the money and he's got the supply available. And Terran's main army is getting crushed now anyway. When 99% of your supply is medevacs, that's a problem. Goblin solves that for Epic by blowing them all up. Oh, that second warp-in happened in the main, and it includes DTs. I think the referee needs to stop this fight. Epic's best move at this point is to hope it's secretly a best of 5. There's no answers for the DTs in the main. And now there's 6 Stalkers warping in. Terran's production is taking a beating, and so is the economy. There's the GG. Game 1 was a high-tension, sexy back and forth, but Game 2 is one that Epic is probably going to want to forget. There was one awesome thing that came out of this game. I think I can officially fill a viewer request. I don't get many of them, and even less that I'm capable of fulfilling. But thanks to Goblin, this one I got. I know somebody on the internet will disagree, because that's the way the internet works. But I would say this qualifies as good Phoenix play. When you rack up that many kills without losing a Phoenix, when you annihilate all the units specifically designed to counter you, I think you're doing pretty good. In fact, Goblin only lost 4 Phoenix the entire game. To put that into context, Epic lost 9 Vikings, and he only had them for about a minute. Not really a fair stat, but you get the point. So one last thing, please remember to live life, because nobody wants to die in hold position. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your Starcraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.